You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Sounds like some bad movie.
Oh, we're back. We are back again. Once again.
Back in the saddle again.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Moviesucktastic. I'm Scott, that's Joey, and this week we're reviewing a couple of Oscars films, but right now it's the Oscar-nominated Nickel Boys.
Now, this film, it's only nominated for 2 Oscars.
Correct.
Best Picture and Adapted Screenplay. Because it's based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel.
By Colin Wilson.
Was it Colin
Right?
Wilson? I didn't think it was.
Pretty sure it was Colin.
Colin? No, I thought it was Colin.
Oh, I'm reading a book, and it's
Yeah, no, it's Colson Whitehead.
Colson Whitehead. Jesus, totally different author. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, you should
forgive
do the
you.
talking.
We forgive you. We do. I don't want to do any of the talking. No, so this is another film that we're reviewing. I watched this last night, and I'll tell you, I thought this was one of those movies I didn't want to watch. I'm glad I watched it because I actually did enjoy it, even though I don't understand the aspect ratio. I mean, I think I kind of understand what these these newer filmmakers are trying to do with it. It's putting it in a 4:3. This is my theory. Putting it in a 4:3 aspect ratio is similar to what filmmakers do when they want to show the past by putting it in black and white. Because my kids,
it's definitely supposed to reflect the aspect ratio of the time period, the vision of that time period.
Well,
the way that time period was viewed.
I don't agree with that. And here's why. Like, for instance, my kids, they don't know what the hell a 4:3 aspect ratio is. They've seen everything in HD their whole lives in a 16:9 widescreen. They don't know what it is. But if my kids or younger people were to watch a film like this and they see it in a 4:3, they're definitely going to get that feeling like, oh, this is old. This is in the past. Okay? My problem...
Yeah, so it works.
No, not for me. My problem is, no, this is filmed in a POV perspective, meaning the character...
First person
Right.
character point of view. Yes,
their point of view. Do you see in a 4:3 aspect ratio? Because I know I don't.
I don't see in any aspect ratio. So that's not an applicable analogy.
It is. It absolutely is. I don't see in a square 4:3 aspect ratio. If I'm doing listen, I get why it was done, and I'm just going to talk about it for a second. I still really enjoyed the film. I'm not 100% on board with the old 4:3 aspect ratio to present past and past tense and all. I'm not on board. I'm not.
I have to say, I did not go into this expecting the aspect ratio to become a hot button topic.
It's not a hot button. It's
with
not.
the whole first person thing. I'm like, okay, that's going to be the thing to talk about. 5 minutes later, no, it's the aspect ratio. This is the problem
I don't agree with. I think you could
with
have
the choice
achieved.
decision.
I think you could have achieved the same point of the same film, the same point of view, if it was in a 16:9 aspect ratio. I do. I
Okay.
really do.
Now, I personally feel like, let's talk about the first person aspect ratio.
Well,
as
hold on,
well.
hold
The
on.
first
Let me
person,
just
yeah.
finish. With that said, I still very much enjoyed the movie, and it's not something that I'd be like, "Hey, did you see Nickel Boys?" Yeah. What about that aspect ratio? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm doing it for the show tonight because this is the place to vent those kind of things. But other than that, this movie is going in my collection. I think it's a very well made film. I enjoyed it. I think everything about it is done so well. Even the music is. I'm surprised it didn't get nominated for score, to be completely honest.
Right, right. So I just wanted to briefly touch on the film is inspired by true events of this school. It was reform school or juvenile detention center called the Dozier Academy in Florida, or Dozier something.
Okay.
And that was the inspiration for the book, hence the movie. But the movie takes place during Jim Crow era, like Florida, and involves a young black man who is wrongfully accused of a crime and ends up stuck in one of these juvenile labor camps that are corrupt. And there's a whole lot of nasty things going on, including sexual assault, beatings, crime, and murder, and all that sort of fun stuff. So it's definitely not the kind of film I normally gravitate to. I'm the kind. I'd rather watch a documentary person. But I think what this film does offer is the cinematic perspective that it gives. The one thing that came to mind was that this film is more of like a visual poem in some areas.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because just the way the score transitions into certain scenes where there isn't any talking, it's only moved by the score and the music alone.
It's barely music in most places. The score is almost almost like ambient noises,
Yeah.
intensified, almost like the blood rushing through your ears, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that really enhances that POV style that the movie is shot in.
Right.
It really does.
So the whole film is first person POV. So you're looking through the eyes of the main character, which eventually becomes the two main characters.
Right, and they look back at each other, which allows it to move from that POV to almost a more cinematic-like experience, because it is going back and forth between the two characters, looking at things and looking at other characters in the movie.
Now,
and it's done extremely well.
Now, first person films are not common. One thing I found very interesting is I read a bunch of skimmed a bunch of reviews on the film, and I saw many references to Lady in the Lake, which I just watched recently with Holly, which was an old Philip Marlowe film, first person, but none of them say, "Oh, this is like Hardcore Henry." Not a popular film.
No.
No one wants to give Hardcore Henry its due.
I like Hardcore Henry.
Me too. But so it's a very daring approach to the subject. They could have just gotten away with doing like a straight dramatic film, but instead, by taking this first person perspective and also not even treating it like a documentary style, like we're watching it in real time, but almost I got the feeling in the very beginning of the film that I was watching somebody's life literally flashing before their eyes, and we're seeing the most traumatic, the most important events that occurred to them, and it really had that feel to it. I kind of felt by the middle of the first act that, okay, this is going to end the same way it began, with this character dying, and I was kind of half right.
Yeah, I kind of thought, I was like, this movie's going to end a certain way, because I'm getting that feeling. And you're right. I was kind of half right too. They did it a little differently, but they did do it the way.
Yeah,
Or it did end the way I thought it was.
and I have to give the film credit for taking a huge risk in taking the subject matter and putting it in such a I would say not creative. What's the word I'm looking for? Different way. It's very experimental. That's the word I was striving for there. It's almost like an experimental way of showing the film, and it's going to alienate some viewers. Not everybody is prepared to have to sort out whose point of view they're watching through at any given point. Some people, it's not going to be entertaining for some people. It's going to be annoying. It's going to be a distraction.
Yeah, I read that this director, one of his influences is Terrence Malick, and I was like, okay. I mean, Tree of Life is one of the influences, and I'm like, yep. That movie was shot in '69, though. Just want to point that out.
Speaking of ratios, I'll also point out we're also reviewing Conclave tonight, and so we're in the same night we're reviewing two films at different ends of the ratio spectrum, because Conclave is in 2.39 to 1.
Yes,
which is scope.
Yep.
It's so
it's just a wide.
And this, meanwhile, this one is like old Zenith.
Yeah. I mean, 4.3. It could have a slightly. No, it's 4.3. Yeah, it's 4.3.
So I have to give this film a lot of credit that I'm someone who didn't want to see the film, had no interest in it.
Same.
And so not only was I able to get, but then again, I'm a more active viewer with cinema than some people, so I don't know if it's saying much, but I was able to get past not only the first person perspective and the wackiness they were doing with that, and this kind of free form visual poetry, but it really made me care for the characters. And I really felt today I was still thinking back about Elwood. I was like considering the tragedy of the character. And it was like, I normally don't do that.
I'm with you 100% on that. I just could not stop thinking about this film and its characters and the real life characters or the real life people that it's based on, and it's just one of those things that you don't shake it easily. You don't.
And in less competent hands, the whole Tyler Durden twist ending could have ruined it. Really could have, but the fact that they put no real emphasis on it, and if you're not paying attention, you don't even notice it.
No, I know. Well, they flash the Social Security, the birth certificate. They flash it very quickly. They do zoom in on it, but it is only on the screen for a couple of seconds at best.
If you're watching this film and you don't even care about it in the first place, you didn't even notice the ending. So it's not going to make you go back and rewatch it.
Right.
But I don't think it changes. I haven't watched it a second time, but just thinking about that change, I don't think it really has an impact on a second viewing, because it doesn't really hinge much on it.
I mean, if anything, you just watch the last 5 minutes again, and that's what you would just really need to do to get the impact of the ending again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But for what I thought what it was going to be a hokey experience, it really managed to use it to humanize the characters. Even though I personally am not a fan of the hugging scene. I know I've seen other people say it's a very tender moment. For me, it's like, yeah, she's holding the camera. I know she's holding the camera. I'd rather see two actors hugging. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to hate stuff like that. It's like, I want to see the person that's talking. I don't want to be the person that's talking. Not everybody's into that trip.
Well, they did something interesting in a few different scenes when they were going not exactly present day, but present day for the film, for the people that are in the film. The camera went from POV to behind their back, like you saw a back, it was basically a third person perspective.
Right.
And then you really kind of figure out why later, and it's because of the way the movie ends with like you said, Fight Club thing, and they do it that way for that reason, because
it's
you're not actually seeing, you never see the face unless it's from the other person's perspective. But when it goes present day, you don't have the other character for that perspective. You just have the one, which, they show early on. It says Elwood, and then as the movie progresses, you start to figure out, what's going on with that.
right. Yeah.
Especially
So,
when he goes to the bar and he meets up with one of the kids that he was in the reform school with, Chicky Pete, and obviously he's not in a good way, because it basically shows that just because you went to this reform school and they're quote unquote trying to make you better for society, even if you got out, because it was so bad. Most people did not walk out of there well.
Yeah. And one thing about the film too is by doing this kind of perspective, they were by limiting themselves to the first person perspective, it allowed the film to kind of show instances of it was able to scope it down, so they didn't have to show a lot of different things.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that's just implied, that's happening in the background, they talked about, that we don't actually see because the film's not really focusing on that stuff. These characters are trying to survive in their own, in their own portion of the Nickel Academy. So we're not getting an overview. We're not jumping back and forth between different stories and seeing all of the horrible abuse that's taking place. It's just kind of hinted at, referred to, and then later on kind of glimpsed at in the quick news coverage we see in the third person shots and on the monitor.
Yeah. For a film that's only PG-13.
Yeah.
It's only PG-13, but it takes the subject matter and
it's rough emotionally, but without being exploitative, which it could have easily done.
Could have
too.
Yeah.
It treaded a careful line, and I will say this: the way the film handled translating from the book, this is one of my favorites for best adapted screenplay.
What's interesting, when we got the list and we started and we looked at it, in my head I'm thinking, I'm probably only gonna like maybe 2, maybe 3 movies. And so far, the only film that I personally didn't like was Emilia Perez. Everything else I actually enjoyed. Even Wicked, to an extent, I enjoyed. Even though I'm not a fan of musicals, but
Emilia Perez made me appreciate Wicked.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But no, this was a film that really left an impact on me, and as somebody who was not interested initially, but being open to the film, it really took me along for its journey, and I really appreciate a film that's willing to use the visual medium as the storytelling device in a lot of these scenes, and with the inclusion of symbolism that makes me feel that still makes me feel like the whole thing is represented as memories, such as the reoccurring appearance of the alligator.
Oh yeah, because they were in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. But like showing up in the classroom as well, and then it's a reoccurring theme, it's a reoccurring icon in the film. I haven't really nailed down what it's supposed to represent. Maybe just maybe the Jim Crow Florida itself.
I don't know. I think, and maybe I'm wrong with this, but I think they alluded to using alligators to dispose of bodies. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into that too much.
I don't know. I don't think it's
there's a shot that they have where there is someone being eaten by an alligator and someone pointing a gun at them. So I don't know. I don't know.
That was
if that means anything.
Like a postcard. It was like a picture. It wasn't actually. wasn't like a photograph. It was like a painting.
No, I know, but the alligator is eating a black
But
person, and someone is
but
shooting
it's
at them.
but it's a reoccurring icon. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just the film's got a lot to say, and it does it in a very effective way. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I want to actually bring up something.
Uh-oh.
I had no idea what this movie was about. I went in 100% blind and I never read the book. I didn't know anything about it actually, and when I saw Nickel Boys POV perspective, and I'm like, all right, this is. I actually was expecting a different movie. I was expecting.
I bet you were.
Well, I was expecting maybe like a coming of age film. I did not expect this movie. I really didn't. I thought this was going to be two kids, and I didn't even know it was a reform school. I thought it. I just thought it was a school, And then as I watched the film, because again I went in completely blind, and things started to progress, and I'm like, oh no, because he's just hitchhiking. He gets in the car, and then the guy can't get the door open to let him in, and I'm like, you can't get your own door open? I'm like, something's wrong here. And then of course you find out that the car is stolen. He gets pulled over by a police officer, except the kid, he's also prosecuted for being an accomplice, and that's how he ends up in the reform school. I had no idea that was the direction this movie was going. I really didn't. I thought it was going to be about two kids growing up in school, like coming of age, having experiences together, and it was a different kind of movie. I still think it's an excellent film.
You're like the guy in the audience for Dusk Till Dawn. Says, "What's with the vampires? I thought this was a gangster film."
Tarantino wrote this, right?
I got a little confession about the film. Just on a lighter note, but actually, like for me, the boxing incident stuck out in my brain too. It really stuck with me after the movie. But when Elwood and Turner are hiding, and in the stables, and and they overhear them setting up the take the fall because they're betting on the prison tournament. Holly and I both look at each other immediately and say exactly the same thing. Stir crazy.
Oh man.
Didn't go in that direction, but that's what we were thinking.
No. And the thing is, I knew how that boxing match was going to end up going. I just knew it. I'm like, oh man.
Well, we're not invested in the character, so if he does take the dive, no one's going to give a shit. So we know why we're here. We all know why we're here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like one of those kind of suspenseful, but because we at this point we know what kind of film this is, we know this isn't going to be fun. So you go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about when they freeze that moment when he's screaming that I thought it was the second round, but they like everybody's around him like patting him on the back, but they freeze it for a second.
Right.
I still don't. I know what they're going for. I still don't know if it was effective. I'm still on the fence with that one.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. Like Nana, I'm surprised she didn't get an Oscar nomination. I thought she was very good in it. I mean, honestly, we're going to review Conclave next. Take out Isabella Rossellini, give it to Nana. Give her the nomination, because I still don't know why Isabella Rossellini was even nominated for Conclave.
They had about she had more. I think she had more screen time.
It wasn't.
I think Nana did.
Nana did, and
yeah,
I think Isabella Rossellini says maybe 20 words.
Save it for the Conclave review,
I will.
Mr. Negative.
No, I'm not negative about Conclave. I just don't know why Isabella Rossellini got the nomination. I really don't. Anyway.
Sexist.
Oh, stop.
So what do you want to rate this?
All right. Where it's currently a 7.4. I think this movie, I mean, obviously nothing lower than a 7. This is at least a 7, but I can do 8 on this. I really could.
I was thinking 7 myself.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think it's that well made that an 8 would be, I'd be fine with it. But you know what? For the aspect ratio, let's go 7.
Okay. I
I don't agree with the choice, but
that's funny because I was just about to say, I was thinking about it today, so it was good enough. Maybe we'll give it an 8. But then you said the aspect ratio. Okay, 7 it is. 7, and that's it. Suck it, aspect ratio 4:3.
I mean, I don't get it. I just don't understand why. Nobody it's a POV film.
Oh,
No one
the
sees
water,
in this
yeah.
aspect ratio. That's not how the human eye. It's like I said before. The 4:3. I mean, they've done it in a bunch of movies. Like last year, Maestro did 3 different aspect ratios and 2 different color. Went black and white, 4:3 to color, widescreen or semi-wide, and then present day was like full on cinema scope. It's like ay. I don't agree.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm just waiting for the temper to die down here. I don't want to interfere. I don't want to stoke the flames. I just had to switch over to the right account. But yeah, we're rating the 7, and that's official. Popularity dropping in the last couple weeks. I don't know what that's about, but
Probably,
yeah,
it was at its highest when it got the nomination, but as we're getting closer to Oscars, it slows down.
So considering I was an uninterested party going in, very impressed.
Same here. Same here.
And I think the screenwriting is innovative enough that it should be considered for that Best Picture. That's my opinion. It's not going to win Best Picture.
It won't.
Best Adapted
It
Screenplay.
won't. And this is also the production company that did this is Plan B, which is Brad Pitt's production company.
Oh, cool.
So he's an executive producer on this, not producer. He owns the company Plan B, but so if let's say it were to win Best Picture, he doesn't walk away with a statue. The other producers do. Like when 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture, that was also Plan B. He was a producer. He did win, for Best Picture, so he did get an Oscar for that. So, but I'm always impressed with the movies that Brad Pitt does greenlight with his production company and Plan B, because they almost always tend to be not just good films, but of higher quality, where the Academy really notices it every year. So, just good job. Just wanted to point that out. All right. So I think we're ready to end this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Episode 436 of Moviesucktastic. As always, we thank you for joining us yet again. Go to our website at Moviesucktastic.com. You can download the show there. You can listen to the show there right on the website. And you can click on the YouTube link and it'll take you to this episode and you can watch it back. You can go to iTunes and you can listen to the show there as well. Go to Facebook.com/Moviesucktastic and you can just see everything that we post there. You have a face on you. Like, I don't understand. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm trying. No, I'm good.
Trying to follow me? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I'm following.
Okay, you're following. Okay, good. If you want to leave us email, it's themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com, which, by the way, real email works again because I moved all our shit over to a new hosting service.
Oh,
So,
that fixed that. Cool.
Yes. Well, I knew that was the reason because GoDaddy can suck my left nut. But I'm actually on a much better hosting service now. Anyway, you can leave us email from the website, or if you just want to type themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com, that works. You can leave us voicemail at 908-514-4470. If you leave us some voicemail, we'll play it on the show. And download the podcast player at moviesucktastic.com/mst.apk, or you can just go download your favorite podcast player and do a search for Moviesucktastic. Every single episode comes up. Do you have any words of wisdom, Mr. Wilson?
I don't.
You don't?
No, that's why I look confused. I was trying to think of something to say, but I really don't have any words of wisdom regarding this film. I mean, at the close, embrace the coming apocalypse. That's all I can really think of.
If I were to have words of wisdom, I would say go see it, even though I don't understand the 4:3 aspect ratio. It's still worth seeing. It's an excellent film. If it were actually to win Best Picture, I would be okay with it. I enjoyed it that much. It's well done. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next when we review Conclave. Next in our Oscar review for films that we're doing right now. Italiano. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.